next speaker is Chris Vellrath. He's from the Libertarian Party of the Mises Caucus. Chris?
It's great to see you all out here today. I'm Chris Vellrath. By trade, I'm a filmmaker and an artist. More importantly, I'm a long-term, dedicated advocate and working grunt to the causes of freedom. It's been awesome to team up with the fine patriots of our cause over the years, often working behind the scenes in the fight for freedom. Individual liberty and personal responsibility are the tenets of the Libertarian Party Mises Caucus of Delaware, who I'm here with today. Seeing so many familiar faces, I'm honored to stand in solidarity with such brave organizations, coalitions, and friends who've made the decision to come out here in force today. I'd like to talk about some universal truths. I'd like to discuss the threatening implications contained within the language of these toxic bills. We're all too aware of the havoc that will undoubtedly thrive within communities of disadvantaged people should these bills pass. But first, I would like to paint a portrait of who will be responsible for inevitable heinous actions of violence from a natural law perspective, from a moral perspective. Certain elected officials refuse to listen to us. They laugh at us, cut us off, lie, disrespect, and scoff at the sacred universal nature of freedom as envisioned by the founders. Yet they roll out the red carpet for highly funded, out-of-state, anti-gun, anti-freedom organizations, most of whose members have never lived a week in Delaware, much less had to live in fear in the crime-ridden streets of our cities like Wilmington. A similar detachment and prejudice can be observed in the state representatives who drafted and sponsored these egregious bills. Every day they go to work, which isn't often, they're surrounded by guards with assault rifles and machine guns. They travel to and from their houses, away from the dangerous cities they've turned a blind eye to. Although recently, they've had the luxury of Zoom calls from their plush home offices where we can still see the creases in their newly purchased Delaware flag backdrops produced in Chinese sweatshops. So these bills are presented under the false pretense of preventing violence. But let's talk about violence a little bit. We can start with the legal definition from the Oxford Dictionary. Violence, the unlawful exercise of physical force or intimidation by the exhibition of such force. So let's explore some hypothetical scenarios that all of us here are hoping to prevent. When you tell a peaceful individual minding their own business that you are going to involuntarily seize their property, compensated or not, and if that threat is in direct contradiction to their will, you are committing an overt threat of violence. Furthermore, if you tell that person whom you wish to separate from their lawfully purchased and owned property that if they don't comply, you will escalate with force to make them obey. You will have them kidnapped and thrown into a prison, or have them outright killed on the spot should they resist. That is an act of violence. I imagine the contingency of rabid senators would rather sit from the comfort of their homes than lift a finger going door to door to collect newly outlawed gun magazines. Rather, like many cowards, they would have others do the fighting for them. They would demand that officers and agents enforce unequivocally unconstitutional legislation, thereby breaking their oaths to the people, breaking their oath to uphold the Delaware Constitution and the U.S. Constitution. Regrettably, bills like these demonstrate how little respect legislators have for law enforcement or the officers' oaths in their desire to serve and protect the communities that they live and work in. Even the Wilmington City Police Chief has been vocal about wishing to better serve his city than and fight actual violent crime, yet his hands are tied by failed politics at play here in Dover. It's become clear that those who have drafted these bills see the police as mere attack dogs, their own personal standing army to carry out their agenda. The Constitution and will of the people be damned. When you're creating an environment that outright blocks disadvantaged communities the means in which to protect themselves from gangs and thugs, when you tilt the table in the favor of career criminals by ensuring that they will have superior illegal weaponry to use against their victims, that those scumbags are released when caught and freed to assault the neighborhood again, this is an act of welcoming violence into our streets and into our homes.
Act of war.
By telling a woman who is actively being stalked or living in a rough area where bad things happen that she will have to wait, that she must attend state-approved class and training, pay unreasonably high costs, that she must first foot the bill for pistol rental and ammunition, and then be profiled like a criminal, and then wait some more, all before she can acquire the means to protect herself. You are creating an environment where criminals with illegal guns who do not obey laws will flourish and be allowed to lord over the frightened population. You are creating a violent world for that woman to live in.
Yep.
They tell us we're safer without guns for domestic violence. That's what they say.
I'm not a pawn.
But it doesn't have to be this way. We need to learn from the mistakes of other cities and states gripped by violent crime. Fallen cities plagued by unconstitutional, immoral, prejudiced, racist, sexist, anti-gun legislation and enforcement. The clear answer is no. No to Senate Bill 3 and no to Senate Bill 6.
Right.
Not in Delaware, as it is prohibited by our Constitution. Where it is prohibited by our will as free Americans. The Libertarian Party is growing and expanding at a fast rate, and our Mises Caucus, we're all about taking direct positive action. So you can count on us to be steadfast in the resolve against tyranny, in the fight against tyranny. So let's have a talk after the show. Thank you all for coming out.
Thank you, Chris.